If you are a true entrepreneur and you have come up with a vision and a goal, make sure that nothing dilutes that, your ability to be able to creatively think of new ways to go. Because as a businessman, you're always navigating different situations. But you see, when you have a product that you've developed that people can see value in, they will pursue you. If you come to me and you say, I must invest in this idea of yours, and you show me the projections, everything looks good. How much? And I ask you, okay, what stake are you offering me? How would you value that business? So I looked at the commercials and I said, right, if I take this rate card and I tweak it, immediately I can quadruple the revenues, because the pricing isn't done.
Today I'm sitting with a very, very powerful man. This man needs no introduction. He's the managing director. Help me welcome to the show today, Mr. Dumi Lopang. How are you, sir? What is up, everybody? Welcome to Deep Dive Sessions. My name is Mfamo Chauri. We're very excited to have you here. And today you're in for a treat. Today, we are going to be discovering the secrets of business success from a business mogul and industry expert, Mr. Dumi Lopang. Before we get started, kindly drop below and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you never miss a beat. And comment below on your biggest takeaway that you get from this video, and just give this video a like. And definitely share this video with one friend. We would really love that. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us dive deep. It's very interesting, your story, just how you came up. You've told it before, but please tell it to people. Your come up, starting from 1999, possibly to today, in a condensed version. Especially the Yarona story. I think it's very interesting how things turned out there.
Yeah, so when I joined Yarona FM, I joined as sales and marketing manager. Mm-hmm. And I remember we were broadcasting out of a room at the Grand Palm Hotel.
Just one room?
Just a room.
Right.
And what we did is we were just playing music. And we used to broadcast with a small transmitter, which you could catch probably a radius of about 10 Ks around the Grand Palm. Mm-hmm. What we're doing is we're testing music.
Yes.
We knew that we wanted to become a youth broadcaster, but we're just testing different genres in terms of the spectrum of music, which one
like?
Exactly. And we had a telephone number. Back then, there was no SMS or WhatsApp. Yeah. And people would call in, just say, oh, your music is nice, your music is great, and we'd pick up trends like that. So this was like dipstick research.
Yeah.
Very unscientific, but it worked.
Yeah.
And then I joined in May of 99. We then went on air in August of 99.
99, yeah.
And I remained a sales and marketing manager until December 2022. When the then station manager, Pesi Radiklad, who was the founder, went to join the corporate world, KBL, and I became acting station manager.
Was it December 2002?
Yeah, December 2002.
Yes.
Pesi then went to join KBL, and I became acting station manager.
Okay.
And then the position was advertised, and I applied, and I was appointed station manager in May of 2003.
Right.
And the station continued to grow. I mean, the first year was tough, but by year 2, 2 full years of operation, we were now profitable.
Okay.
And
just by year 2?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. So we started in August. The first financial year would have been June 2000. So by June 2002, we were now profitable.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I was running the business, and then, the majority shareholder at the time got into trouble with the bank where they'd borrowed money to invest in the business, and their shares were up for sale. And I remember at the time, just being an employee, I didn't have the means to be able to buy.
Yeah.
But there'd be different suitors, people would come in who were interested in the business, and all of them would say, man, you've done such a great job. We love this Yarona FM, aspirational brand. You guys have changed broadcasting,
Yeah.
We want you to stay on. When we buy the business, We want you to stay on. You can be rest assured. We will buy you with the furniture.
Okay.
And we will even look at giving you a small shareholding, which you can pay us over time. And so I was happy with that. I had always been an entrepreneur, you know. I tell people that the first thing that I sold were kittens.
Yeah.
I wonder in a small town like Pico whether they didn't think Kiwoloyi of some sort, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not like a Njanyana, you know. So I sold kittens.
Yeah.
And then later on, when I was in high school, I became the junior mayor of Bulawayo, the city of Bulawayo in Zimbabwe.
As a Botswana.
Yeah, as a Botswana.
That is great. So you always had that leadership in you.
Yes. I mean, then I was deputy head boy of Christian Brothers College, you know, as a house captain. So I think in terms of just being leadership, I think
it's
something that is, sort of just from primary school, really, you know.
Yeah.
I'd always liked business. When I was at university, we had started a business where we used to do campus promotions. I went to varsity in 95. And remember, this is 1 year after South Africa got freedom.
Yes.
So a lot of the white brands were now targeting this new free black young adults. So brands like Levi's, jeans, etc. We're trying to break into this black market.
Okay.
And what we did is we bridged that gap through music and entertainment on the various campuses. We would do promotions for these different brands. And I just fallen in love with that.
Yeah.
But it had started, like I'd said, actually, when I was the junior town clerk, it was my role to do a fundraising event where as you're finishing your term, we would go in for 1 year. As you finish your term finishes off with what we call a variety show. I don't think you guys have them anymore.
I have no idea what that is.
The older people will know, they were called the V show. And the V show basically is people pay it, they come in. Then you have different types of entertainment. There'll be people singing, there'll be people dancing. It's just a showcase of talent.
Yeah.
Like if you like an America's Got Talent type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's to entertain people, they're DJs. It's just,
Yeah.
And we would raise money, and to close our chapter with the Junior City Council, would then make a donation to the community.
Oh.
So that's when I had started this thing of putting together to an event and whatever.
Okay.
So when we got to UCT and we started this with 2 other Botswana, 3 guys from Zim, I really enjoyed that. So when I came back to Botswana and worked in Pico for 1 year, that stopped. But when I came to Gaborone, we started looking at different business opportunities. And what I got into at the time was the distribution of airtime, but virtual airtime. We used to have these little machines similar to your
virtual
speed point.
airtime.
Yeah. We were selling virtual airtime, but it hadn't really taken off.
Yeah.
And then in 2005, whilst still working for Yarona FM, running my side hustle, we won a contract to supply Mascom with physical cards.
The scratch cards.
Scratch cards now.
Right.
And that's what changed everything. It's because once we got that contract, it then meant when there's a conversation around buying of shares in Yarona FM, I'm not merely sitting there hoping that I will keep my job, hoping that I will get something. I was able then to actually be at the forefront of putting together a consortium that included some of my business partners from varsity, some of the shareholders who were in the business, and basically we then put together a consortium and bought the majority stake in Yarona FM. So that was like 2006, 2007.
Look at that. How were you able to, because this was a big deal. I think by then, you correct me if I'm wrong, it was probably like one of the biggest deals you had ever had prior to that moment. Talk to me now about the mindset of negotiating your biggest first deal. How are you coming into play with that? Because right now there's maybe a lot of young entrepreneurs that are watching this and they know that, okay, I'm going to have a sit down with 1, 2, 3, X amount of people. What should they expect? How long, what should be their mindset going into this? And how should they kind of mentally prepare themselves, so to speak?
Okay, to be fair and honest with me, I was lucky. One of my partners worked for Deloitte and is a chartered accountant who worked in corporate finance, doing mergers and acquisitions.
Yeah.
So having him as part of my team helped.
Big plus.
I understood the business of radio, but what he understood was structuring. So initially we went around trying to raise money locally. And the deals just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Remember, it's 2006. People still, yes, radio is 7 years in, but people still look at it as entertainment. It's not, so when you go to a venture capitalist, they really don't understand how this thing...
They haven't warmed up to it first.
And we are broadcasting in Gaborone only at that time, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so our license was a regional license. We went around the country. And after we came on board in 99, RB2, which had been only in Gaborone, then went national. So now you were competing on an equal playing field because you had RB2, which had a national footprint, which is obviously more attractive to advertisers, competing against us who are regional players.
Yeah.
You see, so it wasn't easy to get a potential financier to understand the potential and see that this business has huge potential. All we're doing is we're waiting for it to go national. And at the time, the national licenses had come out, the RFPs. So we were preparing to apply and we were confident that we'd get it, but people couldn't see it. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are gonna come across that.
Yeah.
Well, especially if you're coming up with something that is novel. That it won't always be that people see what you see.
Yeah.
And it takes patience and knocking on doors and knocking on doors. Like I said, we knocked and knocked and knocked on doors.
And that's a lot. That's many years. 7 years is a long time of knocking. Because I think that's also what we, because I think I adjusting our expectations sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially that are starting out, of how long it's really going to take and how much it's going to demand from us and what we need to also put into place. So when is it time to now bring in that injection of capital, and how should people go about it? Because business is difficult in that sense that you need a lot of stamina to keep going, and you have to become creative, and a lot of the times, yes, you don't need funding, you need a customer. But when is it time for you to say, okay, right now, this is the time I need to now inject to take my business to the next level?
Yeah, I think I know nowadays people sell ideas, but I still believe unless your idea is really something out of this world, I think you first need to develop something, build some equity. So you see, if you come to me with a great idea, and I think it's really a great idea, and this idea of yours can potentially generate 100 million pula. When I ask you to value this business, what is going to be your valuation? Let's say this business, if we do it in a year, we'll make a profit of 100 million. If you come to me and you say, I must invest in this idea of yours, and you show me the projections, everything looks good. How much? And I ask you, okay, what stake are you offering me? How would you value that business? How would you value it?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Hey, you're putting me on the spot.
Yes.
Now. Okay. How would I value that business?
Yes.
I think I would value it as much as how much it's making a year. And I would also value the difficulty in it being replaced or replicated. Somebody coming in and saying, okay, I can come and do this, like the process of it. Probably if I have like IPO patented the process or whatever, then I would value it in that sense. But you're giving me that 100K, that 100 million.
No, I'm saying your projection.
My projection for
is
100
that
million.
You will make 100 million, not that you've made.
Not that I've
all
made
you
it,
have
right.
now is maybe you've painted this idea. All these, I guess, you could have painted. But you are saying, based on my projections, I think we will make a profit of 100 million. And you show me the numbers in year one. And then you say, Dumi, I want you to invest in this business. What are you going to say to me is the value, how you came up with that valuation?
Oh, I'll times it by 12.
You times it by 12.
Yeah, I'll times the month, by 12. And probably by 5 also. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'll times it by 12.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'd probably sit around with a few accountants.
You times the monthly profit, or you think you times the annual profit?
I'll times the monthly profit.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the profit just for every month. Then say, bring it together. Okay, this is how much the business
makes. So I'm telling you already, we will make 100 million from your projections. Your numbers are saying we will make 100 million pula at the end of year 1. So there's the profit is there. We will make a profit 100 million pula.
Okay.
It's there already.
So how much am I valuing this business?
How much are you going to value that business? Are you going to value it at the 100 million, or are you going to take 100 million times the multiple of 3? I just want to know if
I'll probably times it by a multiple of 3.
Okay, why?
Yeah. Just because I think it's more than just 1 year. There's year 2, year 3. And if we're looking to grow, then that's what we're going to look at.
Okay. So then if, say, you're offering me 50% of the business, you say, Dumi, 49. You want to remain with 51 to be in majority, you're offering me 49. So we're making a profit of 100 million. You multiply it by 3, so it's 300 million. So basically you'll say, Dumi, for you to buy a 49% stake in this business, you want 49% of the 300 million.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Okay. And then you would want me to take out that 49% of the 300 million, let's say 140 million. It
sounds a bit bogus because nothing has been done.
Exactly, and this is the point.
Yeah.
Most guys go with ideas, and then you come up with these valuations.
With the numbers,
And they could be true. But we're
in
there business.
Yet. Yeah.
We're not in the game of prophecy.
I like that. We'll steal that land. Yeah, we'll steal that land.
What I know as a fact today is that maybe you've got an idea that you might have patented, you've got something that is a product that you've patented, and yes, there is a value to that. But the reality is that without my money, nothing happens.
Yeah.
But if you have done the patent, if you have through savings or through maybe found 1 or 2 angel investors, small ones, just to get this thing off the ground, and you've traded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and you've built a trend. When you come and have a conversation with me now we're not talking prophecy, now we're talking business.
Yeah.
You say, Dumi, look, then I might argue, but this is only the first year. So maybe you might want to do 12 months so that you can show a trend over a 12-month period. But my point is that add or build value to an idea before going out and looking for an investor.
Yeah.
We did the same thing.
Yeah.
We waited. There was somebody I met in an aeroplane from a private equity fund funded by Botswana Pension Fund at the time. We met in an aeroplane, and I think the year would have been 2014. And we sat next to each other, and I was wearing a rugby jersey for Western Province. Having lived in Cape Town, so I support Western Province. And this guy asked me, are you from South Africa? And I said, no, I'm a Botswana. I said, and then the Western Province jersey? I said, nah, I studied, I went to UCT. He's like, oh, okay, what do you do? I said, no, I'm in media. Oh, what media? What do you know? We have got radio, this. He's like, oh, wow, I'm in private equity. He says his name. I'm like, you worked with my wife at some stage. Yeah. He says, man, I'm a former journalist and I'd really like to invest in your thing. I think what you're building, that combination is amazing. So it was 2014. We finally signed up with them in 2017 because I sat down with my partners and said, but we haven't yet built any value. If we bring this person in too soon, they're going to get in for nothing.
Yeah.
And that just builds animosity later on.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking, but this guy came in for no money at all. But I told them, they'd keep on pursuing me every year. So, man, are we ready to invest? We've got the funds. I'm like, no, just wait. Happy we're making sure we've put in systems in place so that you really have a business. Something that will outlast me.
Yeah.
Or any of my co-founders of the business. Something that runs independent of me. So it's got structures and systems. It's not about Dumi, that if Dumi is not there. So we built all of that in place. So by the time we had the discussions in 2017, they were shocked. We had a business that had proper governance structures. We had subcommittees, audit committees, a remuneration committee, something that you wouldn't expect in a small private business.
Because you built value.
But we were building value in that. And we're building it knowing what the ultimate goal is that we want to get a private equity investor into this business, and that later on, as an exit for the private equity investor, we want to list this business. So already everything we're doing
has
in our
that
group,
outcome.
the final outcome is that we want to ultimately list this group and give Botswana access to this media group.
Beautiful.
I look at potential. So we went to Zambia. I got called in 2012 by some gentleman I'd met in 2006. And he said to me, "Are you still in radio?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you still have a dream or vision of going into Africa?" I said, "Yes." He said, "There's a radio station for sale in Zambia. Do you want to come check it out?" We went to check it out. We got there. It was in an old building in the center of town on the 10th floor. It had 2 lifts, but the one lift wasn't working. It hadn't worked for years. And the other lift would break down every second day. But I remember the first day we went on the lift. Second time we went, we walked up 10 floors. When we were in there, it was old furniture. But this station was the first private radio station in Zambia. So it had a strong brand. Coming from one-party state when they moved to multi-party democracy. This is the station that opposition would use when they have a voice. And they developed a show called Let the People Talk. So it was the first time in Zambia. And they moved to multi-party democracy where people could just speak freely. And they built that reputation where even if the state tried to shut it down, people would go into the streets and protest. So this was some of its history. But when you looked at it, having come from, we had studios here in this building upstairs, where when you compared...
Yeah, it was night and day.
Night and day. The rate card didn't make sense. They were like charging 100 kwacha. The kwacha then was stronger, slightly stronger than the Pula, but I think they were charging 100 kwacha, 120 kwacha for a 30-second slot.
100?
In a country with about 20 million people. And I was like, no, this doesn't make sense. So I looked at the commercials and I said, right, if I take this rate card and I tweak it, immediately I can quadruple the revenues because the pricing isn't done. And it was simply because being the first private radio station, the owner was a visionary elderly gentleman, but a lot of people who used to work for him were going out and forming radio stations, but they were much younger. So they were more modern, evolving with the times. And I think this station has sort of remained as the granddad and wasn't really evolving. But it had a strong brand equity. Yeah. So we looked at the numbers. I said, if I change the commercials, the rate card, and the way they were basically charging, you could buy 1 hour for like 1,000 kwacha. And then on that 1 hour, you can talk about your product. You basically own that hour. And you can play your advert as many times.
What?
So I'd say, but if for 1,000, I would buy 10 ads for a 2-week campaign, why on earth would I buy slots instead of buying an hour for 1,000? And then I speak about my product for an hour, and then I play as many ads. It's basically you own an hour. So the commercials don't make sense. And because I had seen it and done it at Yarona FM, I had already developed a budget template, that business plan that basically I can put in numbers and it can show me after 12 months what will come out. It was easy, to then throw in some numbers and say, this is what I...
Yeah.
And that's how we decided to do the deal. But the owner of the station, guys, said, this is pipe dreams that you're talking about turning around the station.
Yeah.
So we bought into the station July 2013. I then sent Owen Rampa there for 6 months. Our management contract was starting January 2014. I sent Owen Rampa there for 6 months. I said, I've looked at a high level and I believe, I visited advertising agencies. I made sure that when I was doing my due diligence, I went in the market, spoke to to political leaders, spoke to competitors to find out really, and that's when I come to the conclusion that this brand is undervalued in terms of their pricing. I said, but to know exactly whether my rate should be 100 or 180 or 200, or I need to spend 6 months in the market understanding the market. And so Owen went there from July 2013 until December 2013, just studying the market.
Just studying the market.
Talking to advertisers.
Just to understand the brand equity.
Yes.
Okay.
Saying this is how we want to change. Would you still advertise with us? No, that's too late. And by the time we started on the 1st of January 2014, when our management contract kicked in, we had completely changed the rate card. We had stopped those 1 hour promotional discussions. I think the longest promotional discussion was 7 minutes or something like that. And we made it so expensive that we were discouraging it. Because listen, do you tune in to a radio station or a TV station or a podcast or whatever for adverts?
No.
You tune in for the content. If it's a music station, it's for the music. If it's a talk station, it's for the talk.
Yeah.
So it meant that who's listening? Who's listening to somebody talking about
and 7 minutes is a long time.
Yeah, but this way, they were doing it for an hour. Who's listening to you talking for an hour about a cell phone company? What can you tell us this week and then next week that's different? Yeah, you can tell us about your promotions. That will take 3-4 minutes. But the rest, you're telling us the same stuff. We've got the widest network coverage.
Yeah.
We've now got 5G in the cities. Next week, what are you saying? So no one was listening. You are turning off listeners. So in the first year, which is when we came in December of 2013, they'd made a loss because they were reporting in US dollars. They'd made a loss in US dollars of 30,000. December 2014, we had turned the business around 10 times.
No way.
The ability to identify a struggling business and pick and say, but I think these are low-hanging fruit. I don't know how I can teach that.
Yeah. What else can you tell us about just how to identify your brand equity to ensure that you actually value it in the proper lens that is the most viewed lens that people have on the ground?
Yeah, I think the key thing with everything, is, especially in the media, which is what I know, is your content, because the value of your content is what attracts the listener. You package that listener to the advertiser, and the advertiser values that listener because that's what they're after. So it means the value of a Yarona FM, for example, is the quality of its audience.
Of its listeners.
And then you find that there's something called a living standard measure. And basically, these are a basket of things that they use to determine where you sit on a scale of 1 to 10. For example, if you earn a certain amount of money, you use a certain transport, you spend so much on needs and you spend so much on wants and on luxuries. As that varies, you go up that scale. It used to end at 10, but now they've created an 11. But let's stick to 10. 10 would be you are CEO of a listed company. You live in a certain suburb. Your kids go to certain schools. You eat out at restaurants, So a radio station, for example, in South Africa, like a Highveld, its listeners sit in that 8 to 10 stratum. And I don't know what the latest numbers are, but back in the days, they used to have, say, 600,000 listeners. And they're only in Gauteng only.
600,000?
Yeah, in Gauteng only. But the guys would turn over back then about 700 million rands. Then you get an Ukhozi FM, which is a Zulu speaking radio station. I think it's the largest radio station in the Southern Hemisphere. I think like 5 million. listeners or something. And it makes a third of what Highveld makes. Why? Because when Mercedes-Benz wants to launch their new S-Class, they go to Highveld.
Yeah.
And then the advert on the breakfast show, one ad back then used to be like something like 250,000. 30-second ad. But how can they justify that? Because
of the listeners.
You know that when you pay this, you are reaching, on Jeremy Mansfield's show at the time, you are reaching somebody who you know is likely to go out and buy that new S500.
Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense, especially even on YouTube. There's what we call CPM, cost per meal.
Yes.
And also RPM. And it varies according to who's watching your content, and advertisers bring on their ads according to who watches. So you realize that even business channels that are maybe generating maybe 40,000 views would make the same amount as an entertainment channel, for example, that's generating 500,000.
Exactly.
Just because of the demographics.
Exactly. Yeah. So the value of your brand, your brand equity stems from that. How easily can you monetize this brand? How easily can you? Is it a hard sell? Is it an easy sell? And it's a very subjective matter, because before we went, for example, on the 1st of January with our new rate card, we tested. Like I told you, we went to an advertiser. I remember a bedding company, Chambonese. He had been advertising for long and be paying a certain amount. And we told him, mate, we're restructuring from 1st of January. For what you are doing, this show where you come in and you talk about beds, number one, that 1 hour thing is going away. We're giving you 7 minutes max, and this is the cost. He said, well, you guys can keep your airtime. And then you wonder, am I making the right call or not? And then you negotiate, the person headlines, you say, okay, we believe we've got this, and with time you will come back. And indeed, that's what happened to Champaniza bedding. They went off. And after some time, they came back under our new rules. Because now they could see.
They understood the value.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to now talk to you about faith and the role it plays in your life as a businessman. Talk to me about that and where it stems from and how you make your decisions and how you live your day to day.
I think, I was very lucky in that, like I said, I was in business. I've loved business entrepreneurship from a young age, from a kid. In varsity, we had our business, promotion business. But when now I was trying to really start business proper, something sustainable, not ad hoc shows and whatever like we're doing in varsity to supplement our pocket money, I was struggling. And I tried different things. Even offering guys something,
Yeah.
A little thank you. Yeah. And even with that, because we're in that telco space, so you're dealing with the MNOs, the mobile network operators, trying that, and nothing happened. So when I got married in 2000, I got married in 2005.
Yeah.
But I was going for my premarital counseling. And I remember my wife's pastor saying, so what are you passionate about? What do you want to become? And I said, business. I want to become a continental businessman. I love business. I said, okay. And what is driving or motivating you? Like, well, no, I want to live a good life, look after my children, my wife, stay in a nice house. I want them to go. So that's what's motivating. It's like, yeah. It's like, ooh, yeah. All right. And then she said, so in terms of, are you a born-again believer? I'm like, what does that mean? Am I a born-again believer? I mean, I'm a Christian, Like, no. But are you truly, everything about you, you've changed the way you do business, every aspect of your life, has it been transformed? Or is it that you go to church on Sunday, but Monday to Saturday, you're like, hey, man, this is the real world.
Yeah.
And I had to introspect and say, the reality is I go to church, I'm raised Catholic, I go to church, but Monday to Saturday, you do what you have to do. And she's like, well,
you get the bag no matter what.
Yeah, so like, no, but it can't work like that. And I did something called a gift test that I don't know where she got it from.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a series of questions. I think there's about 101 of them. And it's like multiple choice. And you answer some are yes or no. And at the end of this, so it's pretty much like a psychometric test, if you like, but it's a spiritual gifts test. At the end of it, it sort of like profiles you and says your areas of strength are like business, like I had said, yeah. But you've also got a strong pastoral like calling as well. And a calling for governance. And this, I'd been in student politics, like I said, in Zimbabwe, even at UCT. I'd also been, and I'd never told her this.
Yeah.
But from the questions, the way they're done, it brings out this.
It made sense.
Then she said, but you must understand that when you have this gift, it's a gift from God. And the primary role of why you will become an entrepreneur is for the advancement of the kingdom. I'm like, what do you mean by that? It's like to build the kingdom, to be a blessing to other people. She asked me, do you tithe? I'm like, no. I mean, I go to church.
Yeah. You give like when the plate comes.
And the plate comes, you drop 2 pula or whatever you've got in your pocket. I'm like, no, you must tithe. She gives me the biblical reference for that. This is 2004. I get married in 2005. A tender comes out from Mascom for the supply of scratch card tenders. And she's visiting at the time as we're about to submit this tender. She says, when you do tenders, you pray and put this in the Lord's hands and say, Father, I'm entrusting this to you. And it's like, no, and just. So my late business partner and I called, she said, no, call him. We came and the 3 of us held hands and we prayed, holding the tender document. We're submitting the next day. And we submitted and we got the tender. Wow. And that's what opened up my business thing. So I always say, there are a lot of people who turn from their old ways, but they have a period of wilderness before they start seeing the results.
Yeah.
Mine was immediate.
It was instant.
And
it was big too.
Yeah, and I said, God would always say to me, you Dumi of all people, I can't believe you. That other people can say, but Mudimu Hagijara thing I've never. I saw it instantly, and it was from a business perspective. That if you entrust your business to the Lord, leave it to Him, breakthroughs will come through that. And doors will be shut that you shouldn't be going through sometimes. Things that look rosy.
Yeah.
Then later on you hear, hey, that thing, that guy who was talking and wanted us to invest, kind of that thing was just a scam. Or guys who invested in there lost money, and you're like, yo. So Mudimu was actually helping me at that time for me not to get into this thing because he knew.
He knew.
Yeah. So that has, from that foundation, understanding that if truly everything, you then learn the principles, obviously, through studying the Bible of how one should carry themselves. No bribes, none of that. I give the wonderful example of somebody who tried to solicit a bribe from us.
Yeah. To walk us through that.
For a contract worth about 3 million. They wanted 600,000. And they would give it to us.
Which is reasonable.
Yeah, which is 600,000. You keep 2.4 million.
2.4.
It was a strategy thing. So it wasn't like procuring T-shirts and where we get a markup. This was purely for... So your margin is 100%.
Yeah.
The agency that gentleman...
So it's airtight.
It's the agency that gentleman used to house.
Yeah.
Okay. And... my MD knew that, we don't play like that. He called me and said, somebody came, we've got this offer. And I said, what did you say to him? He said, no, my boss is not here. He said he'll come back in the afternoon. I'm saying, no, but when you say that to me, you're making him think
there might be a chance.
Yeah, you know what I believe. And just what you did could actually get you in trouble because it could be like you're entertaining.
Yeah.
So please tell that person that they must never come back to us with such a proposition. Otherwise, we'll report them. And the next day they canceled the tender because we didn't want to pay. And then the tender went out and they went to another agency. But about 6 months later, we won a much bigger tender to do strategy for the country. We won the brand Botswana contract. So you can see again, a practical example of where through principle.
This is 10x more.
Yeah, 10x.
Yeah.
So that's how I've tried to live my life, even through difficult times in business. There's ups and downs. There are periods where I haven't earned a salary. And my priority has always been our employees come first. So I will go with that. But the Lord has always been able to provide because of that selflessness to say no. But, even where you can't pay people a full salary, make sure that whatever you owe them, you will pay them when things, even if you say, guys, let's go on to half salary so that you can all keep your jobs. But I'm telling you that half you're banking it. When things turn around, we'll pay you. Or people who leave the company for greener pastures and you can't afford to pay them severance. You must make sure that you hold on to your word and you pay these people their money even when they're long gone. Because it's a principle. You owe people money. And you find that the Lord then opens doors for you. You go through trials and tribulations, but you are happy because you believe it's part of refining you. And some of the mistakes we made in the earlier years, you find that the Lord allowed it so that there can be a lesson from that. And going forward, when there's a bigger opportunity, you don't fall into that.
For sure.
Same mistake.
Interesting. My last question to you is, how do you want to be remembered as Dumi Lopang?
Somebody who made a difference in the lives of people. A difference that lasts generations. So if I can play any small role in someone's life, somebody who I've interacted with, whether directly or indirectly, that will have an everlasting impact. For me, I think then I'll say I was blessed. And I come across people who remind me of things I said to them and that they've stuck with them and I can't remember. Or a young man who was a waiter at McGinty's. There's a restaurant which used to be called McGinty's in Game City, and he was a waiter, but he was very smart, I think. He says, and I said, but why, what are you doing? He said, no, I can't afford to, I didn't get enough points to go to university. So then there was only UB. And so it was very competitive, and I couldn't get sponsorship, so I need to redo my subject. He said, please. I didn't finish my degree, and once I got working and started making money, finishing off the degree wasn't a priority. So I was telling him, please, don't stay at this thing too long, this working. Finish improve the marks that you need to, and go to university. Get your degree. Once you have that, you can decide whatever you want to do. But the degree just teaches you discipline, shows that you're disciplined.
Yeah, you finish what you start.
Finish what you start.
Yeah.
The discipline. So I tell people the fact that I didn't finish my degree, I don't use it like as I'll ask Steve Jobs, Richard Branson.
Yeah.
I think we are the few blessed ones who've been able to succeed. The majority who don't finish university don't succeed. So what you hear is the few examples of those who did, but that's not the norm.
Yeah.
But most people who are able, who have the discipline to go through and finish something, start and finish something, that discipline you will use in life later on, So this young man, years later, I was on a show on Yarona FM with T-Easy. You were just profiling. This young man called and said, maybe I don't remember, but at McGinty's, I said to him, those words stuck with him. He went and improved his mark, went and got his degree. Now he's got a job where in corporate and is there.
Wow.
So, man, when you hear that type of stuff, I think then, life has got meaning. So that's why I say the Lord has blessed me. Already I'm at a stage where I think I'm blessed enough to be able to look after my children, my family, and, they can get a good education and stay in a decent house and I can eat. I've got clothes on my back, food on my table. But life can't just be about that. And I think when I've discovered what my purpose is, and now I start living a purpose-driven life, I think that's it.
That's it. Lovely. Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and engaging information about business, personal finance, and personal development. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. If you like this video, give it a like to show your support and help us reach a wider audience. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family who may be interested. Sharing helps us grow our community and connect with like-minded individuals. Leave a comment below and give us your biggest takeaway on this episode. If you're interested in being a part of our live studio audiences, make sure to register for the next show. Can't make it to the show? No problem. Check out our Patreon page to watch the full episode and get exclusive access to more great content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Deep Dive.